Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Sean, and I'm delighted you are joining us for today's ESBC Community Webinar. Today, I'm joined by Mate Toth, MVP, who will cover hidden talents to citizen development and beyond, leveraging diverse skills in your career. We love hearing what you guys have to say, so remember to join in on the conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESBC_community, and our hashtag is hashtag ESBC24. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which is updated with the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking the Content tab at the top. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next webinar, Powerful Tools for Power Makers, How to Source and Use PCF Controls, with Michael Magnusik and Scott Duro, MVP. This webinar will take place Wednesday, 8th of January, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. CET. For more information on this webinar, please check out www.sharepointeurope.com/register for webinars. Final tickets for ESBC are almost gone. Join Europe's top Microsoft 365 conference to expand your knowledge, build connections, and stay ahead in the fast-evolving Microsoft ecosystem. Gain valuable insights and tools to reach your goals. Hurry! 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, or full 4-day passes are available. Book now before they're gone at www.sharepointeurope.com/pricing. We're excited to announce that the next EPBC 25 will be held in Vienna, Austria, from 16 to 19 of June 2025. Tickets are available now, so don't wait to secure your spot at this highly anticipated event. Be part of the biggest Power Platform event in Europe and take advantage of this opportunity to connect, learn, and grow with the community. Get your tickets today at www.sharepointeurope.com/European Power Platform Conference. As always, if you have any questions at any stage, please feel free to type them into the questions box, and Mate will get to them during the webinar. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you'll be notified by email when it is available. And now, I'm going to pass you over to today's webinar presenter, Mate. Hello, Mate. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, hello. I hope. Okay, my webcam works. That's good.
Yeah.
Hey. Good morning, everyone. I'm trying to show my screen quickly. Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
You should see it. Good. Okay, so shall we begin?
Sounds
okay. That's good. So good morning, everyone. It's great to hear that EPPC is coming to the neighborhood, to Vienna, as I'm based in Budapest, Hungary. As you can see from the accent marks in my name. My name is Mate Toth. I'm a Power Platform consultant and trainer and a Microsoft MVP, but more on that a bit later. And today we are going to talk about hidden talents to citizen development and of course beyond in your career, how you can leverage diverse skills in your career. As Sean mentioned during the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to ask it. This presentation is usually not in a webinar format. It's usually in person, live, with a lot of interaction with the audience. So it's a bit weird that I don't see you right now, but I will try to imagine that you are sitting in front of me. So as I said, my introduction, my name is Mate Toth. I'm based in Budapest, Hungary. I'm a location-independent freelancer, working mainly in Power Platform as a consultant and a trainer, Microsoft certified trainer, and recently got awarded with the Microsoft MVP award in the business applications category in Power Apps and Automate. And I'm also the leader of Hungary Power Platform User Group, which is a community-driven user group. We have meetings, we have meetups, we have sometimes webinars as well, but we are trying to do in person usually. I'm also the MGCI regional lead for Central Europe. MGCI stands for Microsoft Global Community Initiative, but unfortunately it doesn't mean that I work for Microsoft or at Microsoft. So sometimes I receive some questions if I could refer someone to Microsoft. Unfortunately, it's not the case, but it's a good voluntary position that I hold at MGCI, where we are trying to organize conferences or community events and try to help community organizers as well. And I'm a multi-passionate person, and I have a scanner personality. Yeah, I think we can discuss more on that later. And you can see my handles as well there on LinkedIn. You can find me, and on Blue Sky. A lot of people started to move out from Twitter or X to Blue Sky, so you can find me there. I wasn't really active on Twitter anyway, so Blue Sky is the new thing, and also the website, the same handle as well. And if you scan the QR code, it will take you to my bio link. Everyday skills and hidden talents. I have this session, in this conference season, I started to talk about this because I feel really, really passionate about this topic, but I just couldn't decide on the title. So in one conference, you will see it with everyday skill. On one conference, you will see it on hidden talents. In this webinar, it's hidden talents as well, because I felt like it's so similar yet different. And I was just thinking what could just just put it together nicely, like how it can just hold it together, this whole presentation, because I felt like the everyday skills that, of course, those are the skills that we have that we use every day, right? And the hidden talents, that skills that we don't know we have. So those are the everyday skills or hidden talents. That's what I meant with this title. And as you can see, there are a lot of professions in these pictures, a lot of professions. And when you look at them at the first time, you will see, oh, okay, that profession or that person might be good at this and this and that. But if we look beyond that, we can see that there are more to it, to each profession, to each skill, to each person. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I don't have an agenda slide because I usually don't like agendas, because as I said, it's a little bit of free flow usually, that we have some discussion. So yeah, if you have questions, or if you can use the chat, please feel free. I'm here to answer your questions and also your comments as well. A lot of skills. It's a pool of skills, what you can see on this slide. A lot of different professions, once again. But I've been a photographer for more than 20 years. Yeah, I know. I'm not that old. I just started really early. So I started photography when I was 11 years old. So I would like to focus on that image a little bit. Because when people think about photography, they usually think like, oh yeah, photographer has one skill, to move the index finger, do the clicks to take pictures. And we, as photographers, we hear that a lot, that, oh yeah, you know how to click. We're like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's valid, right? That's what you can see from a photographer. They just move their index finger and click the button. But I believe there is more to it. Underneath the surface, there are more to it. I'm pretty sure you know about a wedding, right? At least you had your own wedding, or you've been there as a participant, as a guest of the wedding party, and you saw a photographer there. The photographer, yeah, that's what you saw, running around and clicking. But like a wedding photographer starts a bit earlier than the wedding itself, right? a photographer, first of all, before even meeting the couple, they need to be tech savvy, right? I need to pick out my camera. I need to pick out my lens. I need to learn how to use different software like Lightroom or Photoshop or any other tools like that. So that's one skill already, or maybe two if you like hardware skills and software skills as well. You need to have as a photographer. But also, if no one knows about me as a photographer, no one will book me for their wedding, right? I need to have at least some kind of marketing skill. Maybe I need to create my own website or a portfolio. And when someone already booked me or tried to start the booking process, I will need to have some kind of communication skills. I need to talk to the couple. I need to negotiate as well. I need to sell my packages, and I need to make sure that we are in the same page with them. So I need to have some good active listening skills as well to make sure that we are on the same page. And of course, on the wedding day itself, there needs to be attention to details, adaptability, flexibility, because yeah, let's face it, or let's be honest, sometimes a wedding doesn't go as it was planned. So as you could hear it, I already listed a couple of different skills that it's like underneath the surface. And it's the same goes to all and other professions as well. So this is the essence of today's presentation. Just think about beneath the surface of a given profession or a given skill or a given person or personality. So yes, I could ask this question to you. What is your hidden skill? What can you think about that could be your hidden skill? I mentioned, yeah, sometimes my clicker just doesn't want to work. That's fine. So I mentioned earlier that I'm multi-passionate. A multi-passionate people or a person is someone who has multiple passions, yeah, duh, or interest and draw skills from different fields. It's just not, I'm not interested in only one thing. I love and I'm passionate about multiple things at the same time. And I believe it is fine. There are also research. For example, Schellenberg and Bayliss created the research 9 years ago, I think, if I remember correctly. Yes, 2015. So 9 years ago, they created the research where they said that having multiple harmonious passions, once again, harmonious, not obsessive passions, could positively impact your well-being and productivity as well. Here is the link for that research if you want to read it. And if you don't believe me, you can read it there on the QR code. But the benefits of being multi-passionate, it can be a variety of skills could lead to greater creativity, greater flexibility. You can use different skills here and there. And nowadays, we talk a lot about burnout. And it could prevent burnout as well, because it can just offer multiple outlets for expressing yourself or multiple outlets for problem solving as well. Because let's face it, unfortunately, not everyone loves their job. There are people who are there for the money. They are there to provide for their family, to pay their bills, and just to do the mundane tasks every day, which they don't love. And being multi-passionate could be the ray of sunshine at your workday, because you're like, oh, okay, I love this thing and I can look forward to it. So I can do the work, but then I can look forward to my hobby, to my passion project, to something at work as well, because it can be your ray of sunshine. And also being multi-passionate can make you more adaptable to this, also this low code environment or citizen development, because you can draw from various skills. And I already mentioned multi-passionate as one definition, but there are multiple names to this. You can see on the screen like multi-passionate, scanner, polymath, T-shaped individual. Now they have M-shaped individuals as well, slash careerists, omnivore, serial specialists, eclectic, and yeah, of course, the jack of all trades, what they usually say to generalist people. And they usually forget to say the whole sentence, that jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than the master of one. So that's, I would say that's my mantra, because I like to be a generalist, and it's not the case for a lot of people and for a lot of hiring managers as well. Like, oh yeah, you have a lot of interest, you don't know what to pick or you don't know what to choose. But I think it's like, for example, the one scanner personality was Barbara Scher, and she has a book about it called Refuse to Choose. So if in these shoes, like me, you have multiple interests, multiple passions, or you just like different things, just make sure to read about it. You are not alone in this. But also these are transferable skills as well, right? That's what I'm trying to say, that these skills can be transferred to other professions, to your career. It can be used to different things. And there are techniques to uncover these hidden talents. You can use self-reflection. You can, yeah, it's the easiest, right? You can just think about what you're good at. And of course, it's the easiest and the hardest, because you don't need tools for that, but you need to be really honest with yourself. So you can just sit down, reflect on your previous jobs. That's the past experiences part. You can just sit down, reflect, get a pen and paper, start to write it down, think about your hobbies, think about your project, just to uncover the useful skills. And just make sure you think about non-traditional skills as well, but which can be valuable, such as graphic design or event planning, or let's say teaching. Those all can be applied to low-code development, for example. And also you can ask for feedback. Of course, some people will give you feedback no matter what, but you can just go ahead and ask for it. You can ask your manager, you can ask your peers, you can ask a random person who knows you. And it's to find your blind spot. If you're familiar with the term Johari window, it's the skills that others know about, but you don't. That's your blind spot, that you don't know about it. Oh, I have that skill. That's great. And the peers or mentors or managers can help you recognize that. And when it's an in-person setting, I usually ask the audience to talk to each other and have some discussions. But this time I will do just 3 minutes, one by one. You can just sit down. So what we discussed, I hope you're sitting. You can just have pen and paper, whip out your phone, or have the Google Keep, your Microsoft Loop, OneNote, and you can just think about what you have as past experiences, what skills you have learned that could help you in citizen development, or if you are not into citizen development, just in your career in general. So I will give you, it says 3 minutes, but I will give you 2-3 minutes to think about. You can write it down, you can put it on the chat afterwards, but just to sit back, try to write it down, think about it. So you'll have 2 minutes and I will be silent until that. See you in 2 minutes. And the time is up. So I'm really not used to not seeing the conversation or seeing the participant. So I hope you were able to follow along. I hope you had some kind of skills. If you can drop it in the chat, I'm not sure if I will see it or in the questions. You can let me know if you found anything interesting for you or you have some skills that you didn't think about in the first place. If not,
There's just one question in there is how do you
yeah.
balance learning and experimenting on the Power Platform with regular job responsibilities?
Okay. We are getting to that a little bit later. So there are good techniques for that, and I can share that a bit later. I think I will have a few more slides before that. And yeah, but it's a great question, and definitely I will have that covered soon. Okie dokes, let's get going after this. So as I mentioned before, I really strongly believe that diverse backgrounds in a team, also in a project team, can make a really good difference, a really big difference as well. And I think diverse backgrounds can just create creative solutions. Because some people coming to citizen development are coming from non-technical, or coming with non-technical skills, and also unconventional perspectives, right? So they just bring in really fresh solutions, fresh ideas. For example, as a teacher, you will have the skill of teaching people of things. You have a complex solution, for example, or a complex topic to discuss, a theory, and you will teach it differently to first graders or young children, teenagers, and on the university as well. So you will have, as teacher, you will have the option to, or not the option, the skill to simplify, right? To make it right for the right audience. And what I've found out that sometimes teachers can help give really good help creating user-friendly design or just really simplifying complexity. And just collaboration across fields can just be the value of different perspectives. And these, like sometimes in IT, we forget that non-technical skills matter. The creativity, the communication, the organization really matter in these projects because let's face it, when someone creates an IT solution, it's not always the case that it looks good or it helps the end users in any way. So I believe that these solutions from fresh angles can be something new, something refreshing, and something that can help adoption, can help your own learning, and can help create better and more user-friendly solutions as well. And this is the story of how I became a citizen developer. Back in 2018, so 6 years ago, almost to the date, in October, November 2018, I was part of a team in a finance department. Yeah, I was a photographer, right? I mentioned before, but I worked in a finance department. And in that finance department, I stopped doing finance things. I worked in credit control, I worked in cash, trade cash, and a lot of other finance roles. But in 2018, I was in a role of finance operations. So we were creating dashboards, we were creating solutions for automation. Of course, as any finance department would do back in the days or still today, we were using a lot of macros, a lot of VBAs, and a lot of Excel, of course, like the whole finance department was held together by Excel, like some of the companies today are held together by Excel. And we were a team of three. We had an engineer on chemistry, like chemical engineer. We had a photographer, that's me, and we had our manager, who at least was an economist. So at least he was the one understanding finance, or at least more than us. But as you could see, that we were like coming from different backgrounds, and we were able to make it work. We were able to pick up skills. We had our own different mindsets and all different thinking. So because we had engineering, I also studied pharmacy, so I had different kind of STEM background, and we had those skills that could be valuable also for a finance department. And one day we received a request from one of the managers that we need to create a solution for 500 people, for the whole department, that we need to send out emails to them, a massive, big Excel to them, where they can pick out some information and they can put it fill out another Excel with their information. And I was like, okay, I'm usually really solution oriented, but I started to just had no in my head, because it was like 500 emails, 500 Excels, merge them together, create some kind of analysis from all the 500 Excel files and all the 500 emails. There has to be a better solution than this 500 nightmare. And that's when I first tried to mess around with Power Apps. That's when 2018, that's when Power Apps got into the general availability. And I was like, okay, I know it's new, I know it's untested, but let's give it a go. And since I was not in IT, I was doing automation in VBA before, I'm self-taught. So yeah, I was like, okay, let's do it. I did it in the default environment with an imported Excel file. If you are not into Power Apps yet, then these are usually no-goes these days, but I've done that, so it's on my shoulders forever. But yeah, default environment, imported Excel, SharePoint list as a makeshift database. Yeah, I mean, as a consultant now, I would say like, maybe it's not the best thing to do, but hey, that's what I had available back then. And I created the solution. It was functional, but it didn't look good. So I presented it and like, hey, this is the solution, it works. Like, look, it works. And they said like, okay, yes, it works, but that's not the user experience. And as a photographer, yeah, they might say I have like good aesthetics, right? I can see when something doesn't look right, but I cannot make it look better. So that's my problem. And I knew that they will not hire an external designer. I knew that they will not hire an external Power Platform developer. I'm not sure if that was a thing, like someone in Power Platform or Power Apps expert back then. So I was on my own and started to look around like, hey, what can I find? How can I make it look better? Because like my design skills are super limited. I know growth mindset, but yeah, I know my skills. That's not one of them, design. And I was just talking to people, hey, what? And one day, I think like over coffee, I mentioned this project that, hey, I'm trying to build an app for 500 people to make our lives easier, but the design looks really bad. And someone just told me casually like, hey, I'm learning to become a graphic designer. I was like, whoa, yes, good, you are my saving grace. So I went, asked for permission to borrow her for a couple of hours per week, and then yeah, I found a graphic designer in-house who was also in the finance department. Yeah, so good. And this was my application. This is how it looked like. As you can see, once again, 2018, old studio and so on. It looks okay, but as you can see, it's not visually appealing. But then I gave it to the graphic designer and she came up with this, much better, much cleaner. Once again, 2018, so design were a bit different than today. But yeah, it worked in an environment setting, so we were really, really happy that we were able to put it off. So this is how I started. And this is how I started with my Power Platform journey, with my citizen development journey, coming from the finance department, and found someone with the graphic skills in the finance department, again, who just was there to help me. And it all started because I really just clicked on that purple Power Apps icon once, and I was able to build up a career on that. I was able to use someone's hidden talent, but also mine as well, to have this curiosity. We will have one more activity. Also, I put 3 minutes, but it feels like I was talking a lot. So let's put it 2 minutes now. And just think again, just sit back, try to think again how your skills that you previously uncovered, hopefully, can be better utilized in your current business area, whether you are working in finance, your HR, logistics, completely different things. Just, yeah, try to give it a go. 2 minutes starts now. And the time is up. Let me share back my webcam so you can see me. I hope you were able to find some use of your skills. It's usually a good place or a good time
I think
when, yes.
there. How can creative arts such as design or storytelling enhance the impact of solutions built on the Power Platform?
So how creative arts can enhance the solutions, right, in Power Platform?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would say creative arts could enhance UI immensely. So if you have some kind of good eye for aesthetics or good eye for design, because I've seen a lot of enterprise grade Power Apps and they don't look good. So I think that that's one skill that a lot of developers lack, is design. So if you have creative arts background or at least some eye for colors or aesthetics, that could really help some of the projects, some of the solutions you build with Power Apps, because then those apps can be more user-friendly. You don't need to create a whole documentation for it. And also, like within your company, the adoption rate can be a bit better because people will see a better looking application on their phone or on their website, and they would just love it more because then they understand the design language. They understand that, oh, okay, I'm familiar with these kind of things. And therefore they would use it more than just, okay, I put 3 buttons here and there and then please use it. Or have for a 3-button application with a form, sometimes you need 15 pages documentation so people can use it. So I would say, like, creative arts, that how I would transfer it usually, to just use it in the design or the UI, or just the user experience as well, to just enhance the solution itself. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Perfect, thank
you. No worries. And as I mentioned before, how you can balance. So let's go back to the other question a bit. Pareto principle and the passion projects. Pareto principle, if you are not familiar with, I had one session where people were not really familiar with Pareto, the Pareto principle, but I think it will help you if I show you the graph itself. The Pareto principle is the 80-20 rule that I heard with 79-21, of 150 and 1, and a lot of other ratios, but the core essence is that 20% of the efforts bring 80% of the results. So that's what I saw during my career as well, that sometimes these passion projects, these, I would call it extra mile, but it's not necessarily extra in terms of like work time, brought me the biggest values, and also sometimes for the company. So creating something was just really, I put some effort in it and it brought immense results. And it gave me awards, it gave me recognition, promotions, and so on to these side projects. And it could be also a good way to balance from your regular work and the side projects, passion projects perspective at work. Because, like, when I mentioned during my story, when we had the team of 3 in the finance department, we had, I would say, the unwritten rule. It wasn't, it was an unwritten rule that we could dedicate 1 day of our week, so 8 hours of our work time, to side projects, to create something meaningful, something valuable for the business. But so those were the 2 rules. It needed to be valuable for the business and you needed to learn something about it. So we had, like, okay, 1 quarter we were learning Power Apps or Power Automate, 1 quarter we were learning SQL and things like that. So depends on what we wanted to do. We had the time for it. We had the time dedicated, and we could just set in the timesheet that, personal learning time for a side project. And my answer would be this, that you can ask for 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours a week, because I think in most companies, so what I'm seeing so far, most like, you have that time available. It's just they will put more and more and more and more tasks on you because you have free time, right? And So that would be my method or tactic, or that was my tactic and method in the past, that I asked my manager that, hey, I would like to have some dedicated time for learning, for side projects, for citizen development, or I just started to do it and try to squeeze it in my work days or work weeks, and ask them later, like, hey, I'm starting to have results in Power Apps or Power Automate. I started to see tangible things. Can you please, or can we discuss some kind of work in that sense, that, hey, I would like to dedicate 4 hours dedicated focus time on this. And that's what worked for me, and I know it works for others as well, that they just ask people to, or their manager or their employee, to have this. And I know in some cases, employees also have this gigs available. So they try to promote this kind of cross-functional collaboration and this cross-functional projects, that, hey, we have a project for this, would you like to volunteer? And you can do so if your time allows it, or your manager allows it, then you can do so. And yeah, I've seen it at some of the companies, that they have these side gigs built in their company culture. So I think it's just one question. That's my strategy usually. That's, hey, I mean, it worked to ask. And that's a Pareto principle in a nutshell. And with passion projects, that try to utilize at least 4 to 8 hours of your work week, if it's possible. And most of the cases, I believe so, it could be possible. And yeah, those time dedicated can really make your life better and easier, and can really lead to some breakthroughs. And as I mentioned before, there are a lot of skills that can be utilized. These, what you can see on the screen, these skills are only focused on citizen development. So graphic design or creative skills, we already discussed. So whether it's a presentation, whether it's an application, graphic design can be a really, really useful skill to have in the citizen development area, because you can just really improve the user interfaces, make the apps visual appealing, and also intuitive, because that's the biggest problem in most of the cases, that the apps or applications are not intuitive at all, and you need to have hundreds of pages of documentation or a user guide for something so simple, because sometimes these Power Apps could be really simple, but it just, using the old design language or using the old way of thinking, just make it so hard to use or difficult to use. Also, as you can see, we have some technical writing and also writing and communication. The documentation is important, so don't get me wrong, documentation is important. So those two skills can be a really good help to document your solution, to document your application, what controls were used, how to use it, how to develop it further, because with citizen development, sometimes people come and go, right, in the project or in the company as well, and just to make sure that it can be scalable as well in the future. So sometimes citizen developer driven projects can be taken over by IT, and they might need to have some more and more documentation. So technical writing and communication could be a good skill on that. Teaching and training, I think it's a bit self-explanatory, but to have user trainings, how to use the tool, how to make it simpler, how to have a complex project and simplify it, could be a great skill to have, or could be a great thing to do from teaching and training. Of course, a lot of people coming from data analysis to citizen development, it could be also a good tool, because at least you will have some understanding how data model should be structured, what kind of data is available. You can also have Power BI reports created from an app, from a Power Automate as well. Project management, I'm not sure if I need to mention it, but just how to structure workflows as well, like from a project manager perspective, how to create workflows and how the apps are efficient and well organized. Those are the things can be good as a project manager. I put psychology and art together, and also I think the coaching can be brought in here. So the art part, I think it's more towards the graphic design, so that the artistic mindset is there. But psychology and coaching, those are the people who can ask great questions. Because sometimes what I've seen so far, coaches and psychologists are going into different roles as well, because they say like, oh, okay, I want to be part of an HR team, part of a learning and development team in an organization, so not necessarily work as a psychologist, but they are trained to ask good questions or great questions, and you can utilize their skills in citizen development, or if you are a coach or a psychologist yourself, you can utilize those skills to create user experience research, to conduct user experience interviews, and ask those right questions at those times. I've done it in another application. We had those user experience interviews, and we had in-house psychologists working in HR. And it was just an awesome experience, because sometimes with enterprise applications, they just forget about user experience. And why are we building an application if it's not for the user, right? So the user should love it, or at least like it, and not hate it. And I believe that's why user experience is so important, and that's why you can use some psychology knowledge or how to ask the right questions. And of course, I put finance and HR as well, and they can just create their applications built on their knowledge. So to track data, to get rid of paper-based processes, to manage resources, and to, like, from an HR perspective, to improve the internal processes and move it to the digital world, to the cloud, and then they can just really utilize their skills into citizen development from what they have in the finance or HR departments or any other departments per se. These kind of projects where citizen developers involved can be sometimes like a lone wolf experience, that, okay, I'm the only one in the company, I've seen it before, I've been the same, and it could be a lone wolf experience. But these could be also a good vehicle for teamwork and cross-functional collaboration. If you're familiar with the Power Platform marketing material, they really emphasize on being better together. But I believe this teamwork and cross-functional collaboration is like really stronger together to build more robust solutions, to create better solutions through collaborations. And these cross-functional collaborations just bring in so many unique skills, so many different perspectives, and some departments are more creative, some departments are more analytical, some departments are like really well organized, so they can just bring in all of each world, the best of each world, to bring and create a better solution. And I usually add one more activity, but you can do it as a homework. And it's just, you can think about like how you can utilize your skill, and is there anything you can utilize today or still within this year. So that's something that you can think about. And since we have a few minutes left, I want to leave it for Q&A. But I hope you have some takeaways from this session today, but these are mine. So please try to leverage your everyday skills or your hidden talents at work or outside of work, in citizen development or in your career as well. Just make sure to dedicate time, or try at least to dedicate time to your passion projects or side projects at work as well. Ask for permission, or if you cannot ask for permission, you can ask for forgiveness if you create something. And just remember that these diverse skills lead to innovation. And when I was doing the research for this whole presentation to see like if it can be backed up scientifically, or is there anything around this topic, of course I came across a comic on Instagram, during my research, and I just felt like I need to share it with you. So just please take a minute to read it. I think it's really putting my thinking together, that if you have multiple potential, the whole world is for you. So, and I think that's it from me. Thank you very much for being here.
Perfect.
And I open for the further questions.
Thank you, Mate, for a great presentation. So now get into questions and answers part. Should you wish to ask a question, please feel free to type it in the questions box now. So the next question of today is, what strategies can help individuals who feel intimidated by the technical aspects of low-code development to start exploring the Power Platform?
I think the main one strategy, I usually say it in the trainings I do, that don't believe the marketing, that I believe everyone with the right curiosity can become a citizen developer, but it can be intimidating for sure, because it has like, you can do really easy things really fast. You can learn it really fast to create a really simple application. But after that, you can, when it start to become complex, more and more complex, then that's when the problems are coming in. And that's when I had the same. So I had the same journey, that because I was already know how to code on VBA, I was like, okay, this could be easier doing in somewhere else, like in VBA, to do this or do that. And it's just, I think my strategy was to keep an open mind in a sense, to be open for workarounds, because it will happen for sure a lot of workarounds is needed for low code, because you are getting building blocks, right? In low code, whether it's automation or application, you are buying a box of building blocks, and you can do certain things with those building blocks. But sometimes you, like, if you want to do something really specialized solution, you need to buy new boxes. I would say, like, with this analogy, there is the PCF controls, for example, where you can utilize pro code solutions like written code, or you need to break some of the blocks, or you need to form it, or you need to think that, okay, this might not be that, or shouldn't be that specialized, and we can go with what we have. So I think that's one strategy for me, just to be open for workarounds, or think really outside of the box and outside of these building blocks, how else I can do it from, like, I had a problem for one of my applications when I was starting out, and I was looking for a solution for weeks. I was trying completely different things, and community forums, so power users community, is a really great help. And also there are communities on Reddit and also on Discord. So there are a lot of communities around the world, virtual or in person. So there are a lot of user groups. Of course, I can tell you about our user group in Hungary, but there are user groups sometimes in cities, sometimes in just as a whole country, and they usually have it in the capital. But like, for example, in US, they have a lot of city-based user groups or state-based user groups, and you can ask questions there. And also sometimes, like if you look at the YouTube video, it might be not exactly your solution, but it can guide you towards a direction that it can help with your own problem. So for example, when I had a problem, I needed to loop through things or iterate through a bunch of variables, and I found how to do it by looking at a card game created by Brian Dang in Power Apps. And it was completely unrelated, completely different process. It was once a game, but I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like it can be merged, can be modified to my use case. Yeah, it was a long answer. Sorry. So yeah, just try to keep the open mind for workarounds, and yeah, just try to look for solutions. And sometimes it might be not so obvious when the solution is coming from. So that's the summary of the long answer.
Perfect. So there's the next question. I think you've already answered it, but are there any specific resources or communities you recommend for individuals beginning their journey in citizen development?
YouTube is a great resource. These webinars, I believe, I mean, mine is not technical. It's a soft skill webinar, what I had just right now. But these webinars also Microsoft Learn. I think it's sometimes it's really undervalued, but it has a lot of great resources, a lot of good documentation to go through. It has now the applied skills certifications or assessments, where you can just practice and get an applied skills certification for free. There are challenges by Microsoft. There are really a lot of communities back and forth, like virtual, in person, and meetups, conferences, a lot of things. It's just the hard thing is what to miss, really, because there are a lot of opportunities to learn. And also there is the Skill Up. It's not a challenge, but a Skill Up program by Microsoft, where they have mentors and help you through become a citizen developer, I think in 3 months, something like that. And yeah, a lot of great resources. It's just blogs, from blogs to YouTube to podcast to really a lot.
Perfect. So it just looks like that's all we have time for. So on behalf of the ESBC community, we'd like to extend a big thank you to you again, Mate, for taking the time out today to carry out this webinar. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thank you all for being here with us today.
Perfect. So that's the end of today's webinar. You'll find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/resource center. Thanks again to all of you for joining us today, and hope you join us again soon. Take care.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.